Okay, this is 5.3, writing fractions and decimals as percents. I'm not a big fan of the way it's set up here. I made the other video that shows you how to convert between fractions, decimals, and percents, but we'll run through this just for the idea of answering some real life type of questions here. Let me get my lighting right here, guys. Okay, I know it looks kind of hard to see on my end. I don't know if you can see it here. All right, so we're going to start with unlock the problem. During the 2008-9 season of the National Basketball Association, the Phoenix Suns won 11/20ths of their games. The Miami Heat won 0.524 of their games. Which team was more successful during the season? You need to read along with it. To compare. Okay, so we're going to pick up here. We're going to compare a fraction and a decimal. Now, we always learn that it's best to make them all a decimal and compare place values. But the book goes through this because this is about percentages. So we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same value. So to get it to 100, this would be times 5. So I have to multiply this times 5. 20 times 5 is 100. 5 times 11 is 55. Okay. A percent is a ratio. That's right here, 55 hundredths. Comparing a number to 100. Write the ratio as a percent. In my other video, remember we divide out. It becomes 0.55 times 100 is 55%. So 11/20ths is equal to 55%. Okay. Now we're going to take 0.52 to write as a percent as a decimal. Divide by 100 to write a decimal as a percent. Multiply. This was in my other video. By 100. They show it right here. It's going to move over 2 spots. To multiply by 100, move the decimal point 2 places to the right. To the right. Notice that right there. 1, 2. So it equals 52.4%. So we're comparing. So the percent of games won by the Miami Heat is 52.4%. So 55 is greater than 52 because they won a greater percentage of games. The Suns were more successful during the season. Now they might not have won more games. I don't know their record, but percentage-wise, 55% was greater. Other side, you can use what you know about fractions, decimals, percents to write numbers into different forms. This is the key right here. Write 0.7 as a fraction. I went through this in my other video. Try this. I went through this in my other video. 0.17 means 7/10. Write 0.7 as a fraction, 7/10, because it's in the tenths. Multiply it times 10 to make it 100. So we get 70/100. And then to write as a percentage, first write an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. From this point here, I would have just taken 0.7 times 100. That would have got me there. 70, write the ratio of 70 to 100 as a percent, which is out of 100. It's already out of 100, so it's 70%. I would have taken 0.7 times 100, and that would have given me 70% right away. Written as a fraction is 7/10, and written as a percent is 70%. Okay. Basically, if you have a decimal, multiply by 100. Okay, remember my other video. 3/40ths as a decimal and as a percent. So they're showing you here to divide it out, add your decimal, move it up. Doesn't go in, bring down, doesn't go in. 0. Okay, into 300. it goes 7 times 280, subtract, you get 200, it goes in 5 times 0.075, so that's very small. You can read through this here, and it says to write the decimal as a percent, multiply by 100, move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So we move this over, we get 7.5%. As a decimal is 0.075 and written as a 7.5%. Okay, here's the share and show. So we're going to write fractions or decimals as a percent. And I'm going to use what I showed you. Like this, I would take 3 divided by 25, use my calculator. They want you to go times 4 times 4, which works because it's a multiple of 100, 12, it's 12%. Here you would get 0.12 times 100, 12%. Here they would want to say, okay, times 10, 30 over 100, which is equal to 30%. I would do 3 divided by 10, it's 0.3. 0.3 times 100 is 30%. Okay. Right here, times 100, 71.7%. So easy when you multiply. Times 100 equals 2%. Okay, down here, write the number in 2 other forms. Fraction, decimal, percent. So we have it as a decimal. So as a fraction, this is in hundreds, 1 over 100. As a percent, it is 1%. Okay. It is a decimal. I'm going to take 13, divide it by 40, 0.325, multiply it by 100, 32.5%. One thing to notice here is 6 is greater than 5. So 6 divided by 5, we have more than 100%. It's 1.2 as a decimal, times 100 is 120%. You know that because you have more than, you got 6 out of 5 on a quiz or something like that. Now we have a decimal. So as a fraction, that's in the thousands, 8 over 1,000. 0.008 times 100, 0.8%. That is less than 1. Okay, let's do this example here. The table shows the portion of Kim's class that participates in each sport. Do more students take part in soccer or in swimming? So soccer is 1/5. So I'm going to come over here, 1/5 as a decimal. See, I would just compare the decimals. Swimming is 0.09. I would make this a decimal. Remember how we talked about that? Until they ask me what the percentage is, I don't need to do it. So that's 0.2. That's 0.2 as a fraction, as a decimal. So 0.2 is greater than 0.09. So more in soccer. If they want to know percentages, this is 20%, this is 9%. What percentage of the class participates in one of the sports listed? Explain how you found your answers. Well, I just found you 2 of them right here. So you've got 20%, you multiplied by 100. Okay. Number 11, for their reading project, students chose either complete a character study or write a book. 1/5 of the students completed the character study, 0.8 of the students wrote a book. Jola said that more students wrote a book than completed a character study. Do you agree or disagree? I'm always back to decimals. I'm going to compare 0.8 to 1/5. So I'm going to make 1/5 a decimal. I just did it right here. So it's 0.8 compared to 0.2. 0.8 is greater than 0.2. So more students wrote a book. And if you want to know percentages, this is 80% and this is 20% because you multiply them by 100. Okay, let me see what's on the back side. This one you can go off on your own sometime and try. We're going to stop right there.